Okay, so Rado, looks like I'm live. I see Glock 23 is online. We've probably got a few more coming in over time, but so I want to start this podcast off, and I want to add a couple of caveats. So, number one, I'm more than pissed off right now. Hey, Jasmine, I'm more than pissed off right now. People post to my channel going, you know what, you sound like you're angry. You sound like you're mad. I'm beyond angry and mad. I'm looking for a bloody reckoning, people. And caveat number two, if any dog trainer and a vet or behaviorist decides that what I'm saying is slander and libel, feel free to sue my ass. Let's go to court because I'm going to bring this whole damn system to the ground. Now, tonight I'm going to be addressing a few trainers, okay? And I know they're not going to like it. And as well, I got another announcement because come Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, myself and William Chandler Duff are going to be doing a live podcast on my YouTube. He's already agreed to it, okay? And William Chandler Duff is a IGP trainer that knows all about Conrad Most, but yet he's using all the Skinner terms. So stay tuned, 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Now, William Chandler Duff is an IGP dog trainer. You can go check him out on Facebook. I think it would be a really good conversation to have. And I'm hoping there's more IGP trainers watching. But you see, people like William always use Skinner's terms: positive and negative reinforcement, positive and negative punishment. Well, you know what? We're going to talk about the quadrants of dog training, which are actually primary and secondary inducements and primary, secondary, compulsive inducements. All I ever wanted was for IGP dog trainers to get the hell out of the behavior ring because they don't belong. Get out of the behavior ring, get out of the shelter system. You don't belong. Anyway, I want to bring up a few things here, and I'm going to start with Zach George. Now, Zach George is not my primary concern because he's only a social media influencer. That's all they all are, social media influencers that got you convinced that they're training dogs. That's what it is, okay? But Zach himself actually made a comment on Instagram that really pissed me off. Now, understand that Zach and Lisa Radosta, Dr. Lisa Radosta, she's the president of the American College of Veterinary Behaviors, and she's the actual president of all of Zach George's scientific consensus. And she will not approach me. She won't talk to me. She's hiding right now because she knows damn well that woman is lying to you. As a vet behavior, she is lying to you. And she's killing dogs for a cortisol response. This is the reason why she won't talk to me. And now she's in bed with Zach George, and Zach is pushing her. But Zach made a comment, and I'm going to bring it up here on Instagram because I actually responded to his wife Bree, and I guess Zach didn't like that. Let me bring this up for you. Oops. Okay, so if anybody can read this. Now, what he's talking about, why should he listen to me instead of accredited organizations? Well, here's the problem, Zach, and I'm going to tell you point blank. We've had this conversation over and over and over again. You keep blaming B.F. Skinner and quadrants of operant conditioning, and so does Lisa Radosta, knowing full well who Conrad Most is. And now you got Kunzite over there. Zach is not allowed to talk to him on his Facebook page anymore. That's the reality. So now every time I open my mouth on Zach's page, I get this person by the name of Kunzite. Now, Kunzite themselves actually admit point blank that the Skinner had nothing to do with the quadrants, and I can bring that comment up as well. But yeah, Zach keeps pushing this whole idea. It's like he sold his soul to the devil. And he's got to be, the first rule of Conrad Most is don't talk about Conrad Most. But what Zach George is calling himself is a positive reinforcement trainer. What Zach is a primary inducement trainer under Conrad Most. Zach George is an IGB dog trainer trying to use one quadrant of the 4 quadrants of dog training. That's the primary inducements. And all I want is for dog trainers to start using the right terminology. Stop using positive and negative reinforcement, positive and negative punishment. That's all Skinner. Actually, positive and negative punishment doesn't exist under Skinner. What I want IGB dog trainers to do is to start using the right terms. Primary inducement, not positive reinforcement. Secondary inducement, not negative reinforcements. Primary and secondary compulsive inducements, not positive and negative punishment. You do that, and I'm happy. I'm out of the game. I can go ahead and retire. But they don't want to do it. because they all want that behavior label. What wound up happening in the 60s was that they assassinated B.F. Skinner professionally. Behaviors at the time actually assassinated B.F. Skinner professionally. That's reality. And they overlaid him with Edward Thorndike and his methodological behaviorism. And this is where the start of all the mess is today, because you're learning the wrong psychology and they're blaming the wrong man. Edward Thorndike and methodological behaviorism, the first rule of methodological behaviorism is don't you dare compare human behavior to that of a lesser species. And as a result of that, we have a bunch of human beings walking around with this measuring stick for life and intelligence, and we're the only ones allowed to measure up. So now because Zach George is over there talking about, how... I'll get to you in a second there, Glock. But now we got a bunch of dog trainers out there still pushing Skinner, but yet they're hiding Conrad Most. And that's the reality. Hans Othman actually called me the C word on his live because I dared open my mouth and ask him to talk about Conrad Most. It freaked him right out. You can see it on video, and I'm going to address that in a little bit. But if we get into this comment, let's listen to you instead of most credentialed organizations on the planet. You see, it's not just AVSAB, a supermajority of behavioral science community. Well, here's the problem, because Dr. Lisa Radosta herself is the actual president of the American College of Veterinary Behaviors. Dr. Lisa Radosta is lying. And if she wants to call it what I'm saying about her right now, slander and libel, you know what? Feel free to sue me. Let's go to a court of law, because if you're delusional enough to believe that this whole system of lies and scam is going to hold up in the court of law, bring it on. Because it's going to be destroyed in the court of law. Okay? That's the problem. I've been threatened with lawsuits. I've been threatened with everything before. They won't dare, because they know damn well once it goes into a court of law that they're done. They're finished. The entire system is over with. I'm going to burn the entire damn thing to the ground. Okay? Now, with AVSAB turned around. The American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior turned around. They actually bastardized B.F. Skinner's book about behaviorism on their website to push Conrad Most and the Quadrants of Dog Training. That's the reality. But this is what Zach's coming back at me with. And he knows damn well that he's lying. Even Kunzite knows that Zach is lying. But yet they're all over there, I'm a fool, and they're ridiculing me. So whenever you bring up Conrad Most, all they ever want to do is ridicule. The first rule of Conrad Most is don't mention Conrad Most. Ridicule. Blame Skinner and ridicule and laugh. That's all he can do. And none of them come back with anything. And I love tormenting Zach George on this page. Zach, again, is not allowed to talk to me on Facebook. He hasn't opened his mouth to me. As always, Kunzite. Glock 23, we need all dog trainers gone and the truth to be revealed. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. And I'm glad to see dog owners are really waking up to it. That's the reality. Hey, Pete. Just seen you drop in there. If you want to jump on, let me know. And that's the whole problem. IGP dog trainers, I told Robert Cabral 3 years ago, get the hell out of the behavior ring or I'm going to burn this fucker to the ground. And you know what? Now we're at the point where it's coming. And at some point, I'm going to want to find a lawyer. I'm going to get the financial backing, and I'm going to start subpoenaing these dog trainers in the court of law. And we're going to dance, because if I get Robert Cabral on the stand and ask him to define the word behavior, it's all over with. If I get Lisa Radosta on the stand and ask them to define the word behavior, it's all over with. That's the reality. The word behavior, the entire definition of the dog training comes down to the definition of one word. And that word is behavior. Okay? And it's a funny little word, because if you get that word right, you throw your entire dog training career in the garbage. If you get it wrong, you're lying, and it's easy to prove. So either way, you lose. You lose or you lose. Glock 23, he got Robert Cabral to define the word behavior on his own live. And it was a 5-year-old answer, how a dog acts. But then he goes on to say, I don't like big words, and it ranks right or what is a woman? It was a bloody joke. You can go listen to Haas Othman. I got it up on my channel. I asked Haas to define the word behavior. He hemmed and he hawed, and he finally looked up in the dictionary. He goes, oh, okay. But yet the guy's sitting there calling himself a behavioral expert. Then he put up a video of his 2 German Shepherds having a war in the backyard, and he's chasing them around with a stick in a bucket. And the first time I watched it, I missed it. But there was one edit done, and you can go watch that video, okay? Where Haas actually got pissed off at one of the dogs, and the dog took off running to the corner of the yard. And the dog knew damn well what was coming. There was an 11-second video, and there was a video edit. When Haas raised a stick, all of a sudden the video switched over, and the dog's now laying down. I guarantee you that Haas Othman beat that dog into submission, okay? But yet, he wouldn't dare post that video. There's a whole lot goes on when the cameras aren't on. And people don't seem to realize when it comes to IGP, it takes a whole lot of punishment and abuse to get that dog stuck to your leg, much more than what you see on camera. Because what's going on when the camera's not on, that's what I'm concerned about. And if you go through my channel, you'll find the video on Conrad Most and how he lays out rules for beating your dog into submission. But that shit's on the stick. Don't hit the genitals, don't hit the nose, but everything else is fair game. But yet they're all lying about Conrad Most. They don't want to talk about Conrad Most. Go ask Robert Cabral, go ask Larry Crone, go ask Cos Hoffman, anybody to talk about Conrad Most. They won't do it. They're going to ridicule you. They're going to laugh at you. Why? This shit needs to stop, people. You're being lied to. You're being extorted. That's what it is. This whole thing was one big scam from the beginning. And let me tell you something. There's a whole lot of big names involved in this stuff. And there's people that need to go to prison for bringing this scam in the first place. Some dog trainers need to go to jail. Dog Daddy himself needs to go to jail for a while to think about what he's doing. Because he's Conrad Most on the spot. I can guarantee you that Dog Daddy himself read Conrad Most books training dogs and said, hey, I can do this. And he made $1 million off of it. And now he stands up at the Royal Flash, and all he's all about is a prong collar, what Conrad Most himself called a spike collar. That compulsive inducement, the primary compulsive inducement, that's your positive punishments in reality. If people would sit down and read a bloody book and verify everything, that would be wonderful. It would be totally wonderful. But for some reason, people don't want to. Once you read B.F. Skinner, just sit down and read the summation of B.F. Skinner's book about behaviorism. I'll actually put the link in there, and I'll put it in the comments when the live is done. Just give me 1 second here. That book about behaviorism, if you sit down and read the summation, it's only 35 pages. Should take you no more than an hour to sit down and read it. It will change your life. It'll make you realize that the world is not what you seem. It'll make you understand behavior, and it'll actually give you a better indication to sit down and read the entire damn book. And if people would sit down and read Conrad Most, you would understand. You would understand exactly where dog training is today. It's all treats and reward and punishment, what Conrad himself called kick and stick. Okay? That's the reality. But yet nobody wants to verify all this. And it's really starting to piss me off. But I mean, going back to Zach George and Lisa Radosta, the conversations that I've had with Zach has always been the same thing. He's always blaming B.F. Skinner. Okay? And it's not B.F. Skinner. That's the reality. B.F. Skinner, what he called positive reinforcement, is actually your operant conditioning. But dog trainers turned around and they redefined everything psychology. They redefined operant conditioning to a method of behavioral modification using reward and punishment. They redefined positive reinforcement and have a treat, when positive reinforcement is actually hand in hand with operant conditioning. Your positive reinforcement is everything you are. Your positive reinforcement is your desire not to die. It's the actions that you take not to die, and it's the actions that you take to stay alive. And the basics of what you need to stay alive are food, water, shelter. You also need sex and procreation for the survival of the species. That's what operant conditioning is. That's what positive reinforcement is. But the fact that all society knows about positive reinforcement is have a treat is absolutely freaking terrifying, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reality. Positive negative reinforcement are yin and yang. You can't have one without the other. They need each other. You can't have a positive without the possibility of a negative. Positive consequences. For every positive, there's always a negative. And if you don't understand that, walking down the sidewalk is a positive consequence. If you don't understand that, trip and fall flat in your face, it becomes a negative consequence. Negative reinforcement, right? It's negative reinforcements that generate behaviors. So when your dog is raging on a leash, acting like an idiot on a leash, there's something negative in the environment that they're reacting to. That thing in the environment that they're reacting to is called negative reinforcement. It's negative reinforcement that's driving the dog's fight or flight behaviors. It's generating that behavior. Now, the thing of it is, what dog trainers are telling you to do, instead of letting the dog rationalize, sitting there just calm and learn to calm down and say, hey, you know what? There's nothing bad happening here. I can make this not a big deal. That's called socialization. In the face of a negative reinforcement, you got 3 choices. You can fight, flight, or become indifferent. Okay? Fight is aggression. Flight is avoidance. And indifference is socialized. You make it not a big deal. It has nothing to do with dogs, nothing to do with people. It's just nothing in the environment is a big deal. That's a socialized dog. But yet, dog trainers are redefined socialization. They've redefined everything. And they got you working backwards. And the reality is, you got vets and trainers and behaviors out there right now that are all part of the pet care conglomerate. Robert Cabral announced on his, let people know on his own YouTube channel. I can bring it up for you. He admitted to creating the pet care conglomerate over 20 years ago. And what is a pet care conglomerate? Larry Crone explained it best. He said it right on his Facebook page. They're getting cocky and they're admitting everything. And now they're getting their asses kicked by me. And they don't like it. But Larry Crone admitted on his own Facebook page that it wasn't, they were manipulating the pet dog industry for years to see the genius of IGP. Well, the genius of IGP is not that they can train dogs. The genius of IGP is the pet care conglomerate. You join us, You tell all of our lies, and guaranteed we're going to make money. That's the reality. And as a result, we got dog trainers out there doing physical damage to dogs, to throats. We're going to get into that as well. And that's feeding the vet industry. They're damaging the thyroid. They're damaging the trachea. It's only if you feel underneath your neck, feel for your own Adam's apple. Right underneath that, you'll feel some concentric rings. That's your trachea. That's easily broken. On both sides of that, when you're talking, it actually feels like a gummy worm. There's 2 long gummy worms on the side of your throat. That's your thyroid. And on top of that is a parathyroid. But yet, trainers are cranking and yanking on their freaking thyroid and the trachea. If you damage the thyroid, you're going to put the dog into a hypothyroid condition. And how many dogs out there right now have unexplained allergies? And the owners are on the treadmill of food trials and everything else going on. But yet vets are saying, hypothyroidism is overdiagnosed. But yet Gene Dawes up at Hemopet, who's one of the leading people on the endocrine system and hypothyroidism, is saying it's epidemic levels. But yet vets, 2 years ago, we had all of the new information come out, new studies, showing what? That intact dogs were far healthier than neutered and spayed dogs. How many vets changed as a result? We have vets all over YouTube 2 years ago. Oh my God, all this new information, we'll take it under consideration. But yet people like Karen Becker have been screaming about this for the last 10 years. She knew what was going on. But all the vets called her fringe. Don't listen to her, she's crazy. How many vets changed as a result? How many vets started doing vasectomies and tubal ligations? As a result of all this new information, no, they're still screaming about spay and neuter. Spay and neuter is one of the big things that causes hypothyroidism, and hypothyroidism is causing so many problems in dogs today. It's causing illness, disease, behavioral issues. That's feeding the training industry. So we got dog trainers right now that are physically damaging dogs' throats with prong collars and knee collars. They're shocking the shit out of the thyroid, and they're cranking and yanking on the freaking thyroid. They're causing hypothyroidism in dogs. People are going to the vets. Dogs full of unexplained allergies, dogs getting fat and lazy, the dogs having all the side effects of hypothyroidism. Well, guess what? Most vets aren't looking at the hypothyroidism. You're getting food trials, you're getting creams, you're getting medications, you're getting on this carousel where they can make all kinds of money. And it's costing you thousands of dollars when you should be pulling the thyroid panel. I look at the Facebook groups, and there's so many dogs right now. I don't know, I couldn't even count. How many dogs out there right now have unexplained allergies? And I'm constantly sounding like a broken record. Get your dog tested for hypothyroidism. Pull a full panel. I know I'm all over the board here, but I mean, it's just, there's so much to talk about. But getting back to Zach and Dr. Radosta, and getting back to the actual word of behavior, because the entire system of dog training comes down to the definition of one word. And what is a behavior? It's your body's emotional response, hormonal response to something in the environment. That's it. In the case of aggression and reactivity, it's a cortisol response. Cortisol is your very fight and flight hormone. So again, I'm going to ask you a question, Dr. Radosta. How many people have sat in your office and cried while you executed their dog for shit that you didn't understand? You're executing dogs for aggression and reactivity, which is caused by freaking cortisol, a hormonal response to something in the environment. Once you understand what a behavior is, behavioral euthanasia shouldn't be happening, but yet we're killing dogs by the millions. Why? Why? Dog training is a flush for cash industry. It's like they can't kill enough dogs. And it's not just Lisa Radosta. There's so many dog veterinarians out there right now. They're supposed to be experts in dogs. But yet you can't figure out that aggression and reactivity is caused by cortisol, and you're killing dogs for a cortisol response, an adrenaline response to something in the environment. But yet you declare that I'm freaking being slanderous and libelous? Come on, bring it on. Bring on the lawsuit, please. I know why you're hiding. You're scared. Robert Cabral won't even dare utter my fucking name. And I know why. For years, he's been online beaking off about people like me. Oh, the positive only cult. You know what? They're going to kill your dog. They're going to do everything else. Oh, yeah. Nobody ever stood up to Robert Cabral or Larry Crone or anybody else for that matter, because nobody had the knowledge. All of a sudden, you got me coming along. I know all about B.F. Skinner, and I'm going, you know what? Enough of this shit. You stand up and give Robert Cabral a smack on the mouth, and he ran away crying like a little 5-year-old girl to his page. Oh, I'm being slandered. I'm being stalked. Somebody help me. But yet he won't utter my name. I offered Robert Cabral a olive branch last year, when all this shit was going on. We had videos back and forth. He was making videos towards me. People didn't know. The people that follow me knew. They were the ones contacting me saying, hey, Robert put out a new video about you. His own followers had no idea he was talking about me. Robert did a video one day, and he called me a freaking minuscule insect on camera. So I posted the lyrics to an Elton John song, Empty Your Garden. You know what those lyrics were? It's funny how one insect can damage so much grain, and buddy, you have no idea how much grain has been damaged. That's the reality. Robert Cabral, I'm going to tell you point blank on camera, you're a fucking coward, and we're going to have round 2. You're going to be screaming my name privately, aren't you? But yet, Robert did a video today. I reacted to it. Go watch it on my channel. There's only 3 possible outcomes when it comes to dog training. Number 1 is control and management. What's number 2? Rehome the dog. And what's number 3? Euthanize the dog. He actually mentioned control and management, locking the Great Dane in a crate, and rehoming the dog. He didn't mention killing the dog. That was the last video he did with a pit bull. He didn't ask any questions. He told a woman that he didn't know, he's never met, to kill the dog because it's a pit bull, to kill a dog that he's never met, assessed, or diagnosed, but yet he's the expert in behavior. Really? Can we stop this nonsense? But yet I watched the comments on his channel. Oh my God, it's such great advice. You know, people are coming up and, listen to Robert Cabral. He's got great advice. No. I actually offered advice from a behavioral perspective. Because I'm trying to understand the cause. And I'm telling the owner, like the owner actually asked point blank, why is this happening? Robert Cabral doesn't give a shit. But yet he'll blame Skinner on camera. And Skinner will tell you point blank. The very object of the science of behavior is discovering its causes, understanding causes. The woman is actually asking what's causing this, but he didn't give a shit. No, he just laid out the rules. Dog training is a solution without a diagnosis. They don't give a shit about the cause. Zach George talks all about the cause, but yet he fucking rewards and punishes the dog. And Zach George is punishing dogs in ways you can't even understand, but people cheer this shit on. I did a reaction video. Got a lot of great responses to it. But that so-called aggressive German Shepherd, what Zach George calls aggression is a freaking joke. That was a reactive dog, and he turned around and put the dog on a muzzle and a leash. So he took away the dog's very positive reinforcement. What is your positive reinforcement again? It's the actions you take to stay alive. It's your fight or flight response. So the dog's fight and flight response is a very positive reinforcement, but he shut that down. And when you're shutting down behaviors, that's trying to remove a behavior from a bloody repertoire. And that Skinner would call that punishment. But yet he's sitting there going, oh, Skinner in the quadrants. And so is Lisa Radosta. But yet they're declaring that I'm full of slander and libel? Come on, people. Wake up. This is so easy to prove. You don't even need to read a book. It's so easy to prove, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm getting pissed off with it. And I'm done with this shit. If dog trainers, you want to turn around and sue me, please do. Because if you're delusional enough to think this is going to hold up in the court of law, let me tell you something. I'm bringing Conrad Most and I'm bringing B.F. Skinner with me. And if any dog trainer out there wants to sue their dog trainer, any dog owner wants to sue their dog trainer, you contact me. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to give you what you need to know about B.F. Skinner and Conrad Most, and you're going to go to court and you're going to win. And the other big problem, too, like I say, dog trainers right now are damaging dogs' necks. Garrett Wing, I don't think I forgot about you. Oh, yes, Alexandra, remember her? The big old firestorm that she set off when she put my reaction to your video on her Facebook? Oh, yes, that caused a firestorm in your office, didn't it? And you're another one that's scared to mention my name. I know why. You were pissed off when that video came out, and don't worry. I lost it when Robert Cabral took down my YouTube channel. Okay? I lost the video, but I'm going to redo it just for you, because I know you love that video so much, and I'll make sure to tag you when I redo it. Yeah, that little Malinois pup tied to a tree, the damn thing is scared shitless, and you're just abusing the damn thing. But, oh, yeah, you know, I'm the best at behavior. You can't even define the word behavior, Garrett. You're a joke. That's what you are. And again, you want to call it slander or libel? You want to sue me? Come after me. Come on. Bring it on. I dare you. You won't even utter my fucking name. That's the reality. I'm getting pissed off with this. I offered off Robert Cabral and Oliver's Branch. You want me to get off your ass? Do a podcast with me. Oh, even people on his own Facebook page when he had that big old post going on about calling me a slanderer and libelous or a slanderous stalker. People were actually saying, why don't you just do a podcast with him? Oh, no, he came after my YouTube channel instead. He shut me down. Him and Alex. I got all the proof. I got the emails. I got Robert Cabral's name on my YouTube takedown. But yet I so love when dog owners and dog trainers come to me and say, oh, yeah, Robert Cabral doesn't even know your name. He doesn't know you exist. The fuck he doesn't. I love it, see? I have no fear of these people. You can't intimidate me. Yeah, you remember her, Glock? It didn't work out very well for her. She was in the group preaching B.F. Skinner. She knows all the science, but then she threw it in the garbage because she realized that I didn't have a job for her. That's the problem. That's what people don't realize. She turned on me because I couldn't give her a job. I didn't have a job for her. Garrett Wing fucking fired her ass because, hey, she got in bed with the science. She got in bed with Skinner. And she ended up with nothing. That's the reality. And then she chased me around when I did the blog. Yep. And she chased me around when I did the blog. Oh, yeah, she managed to get everything shut down. She contacted my host through a VPN with anonymous information. And then her husband sent me a bloody an anonymous email demanding $500 for damages. I couldn't respond and tell him to shove it up his ass because it was an anonymous email. But I got the email here if people want to see it. Oh, there's a whole lot going on in the background that people don't know. Let me tell you. Because the whole dog training family. Yeah, this is going to be a rant. Trust me. Let's go back a few years ago when Zach George was going to war with Ivan Balabanov and going to war with Robert Cabral and going to war with Dog Daddy. That was all a fucking joke. You see, Robert Cabral and Zach George, they need each other. They're friends. So is Ivan Balabanov. You see, Zach George is using 1/4 of the quarters of dog training. Okay? I got a hot cup. It's just layers. That's all it is. And these things are very flimsy, so I wanted the cups. But all these phony wars with Zach George and Robert Cabral and whatnot, this is all phony bullshit. Okay? There's a reason why Zach won't open his mouth to me on camera. Okay? He tried to pull a Robert Cabral and he tried to talk about me on camera. The one person that he's got a concern about. Yeah, he tried that shit on camera and I shut him down. I shut him up. He won't utter my name on camera. He won't even talk to me on Facebook anymore. Because he's too fucking scared. Why? Because I'm proving the point that he is nothing more than a social media influencer. He's a content creator that got dog owners convinced that he's training dogs, but yet if you took away Zach George's treats, his primary inducements, not positive reinforcements, but primary inducements. If you took away Zach George's treats, put him on camera with a dog. He's going to be standing there flapping his gums doing nothing because he got nothing to lure the dog with. And that's all primary inducements are friggin' bribes. Zach George, Robert Cabral is the same thing. And Robert Cabral actually did a video stating point blank, if you don't have the tool, you can't do the sport and you can't train the dog. Well, guess what? If I take away their tools, they're nothing more than frauds. And that's what Robert Cabral said clearly on his own channel. If I take away all these guys' tools, their treats and friggin' tools, they're done. I'd love to see Robert Cabral face a aggressive dog, a so-called aggressive dog with no muzzle, no prong collar, no e-collar. Wouldn't that be funny, wouldn't it? Hey? JR, yeah. Zach talks big, yeah. Zach is a damn fool. And let me tell you something. His followers, they need to wake up too, man. Zach George is an IGP dog trainer. That's the reality. He's pushing Conrad most. 1/4 of Conrad, actually 2/4. He's actually using the compulsions as well because he's shutting down behaviors. Okay? When he's got a muzzle and a leash on the dog, he's actually shutting down the dog's positive reinforcement. He's taking away the dog's positive reinforcement, the fight or flight behavior, and that's the worst punishment in the world that you can do because he's fucking scared. But it's all positive, right? Yep. JR the dog coach. Yeah, tool dependency is just as bad as treat dependency. Yes, it is. Because it's not even dependency. These aren't training tools. They're tools of control and management. That's all it is. And what people don't realize is that I've been watching this garbage going on for the last 15 years. I watched as trainers like Robert Cabral and Larry Crone started manipulating the pet dog industry. Oh, just use the e-collar. Just use the prong. You know what? Use the tool. Get rid of it. Train the dog. Get rid of it. Same thing with the what they called treaties back then. Use the treats, train the dog, and get rid of the treats. Well, here we are 15 years on. Every positive reinforcement train. Oh, always have a treat bag in your side. If treats were actually a training tool, you wouldn't need them for the rest of the freaking dog's life, would you? And if e-collars and prongs were actually training tools, you wouldn't need it for the rest of the dog's life, would you? You wouldn't need that insurance policy. So 15 years ago, they were a tool of last resort, and all of a sudden, their insurance policy. Always leave it on the dog. Don't take it off. Why? Because you need that constant threat of punishment. And they're all blaming B.F. Skinner. They're all blaming B.F. Skinner for the punishment quarters, positive and negative punishment. What positive punishment really is, all the tool use and everything else, is what Conrad Most called primary compulsive inducements. It's not positive punishments. Skinner wrote 21 books and 180 papers, published 180 papers in his lifetime. I dare anybody to show me the words positive or negative punishment in any of Skinner's works. Go ahead, I'm waiting. Skinner said point blank that punishment is the opposite of reinforcing. It weakens, it causes fear. And the reason why you need the constant threat of punishment to back up that punishment. Because once the threat of punishment is taken away, once the tool is taken away, the dog's going to default back to the basic behavior. Why? Because the tools aren't training dogs. They're not training tools. They're tools of control and management and manipulation. That's all they are. And what people need to understand is that when trainers are telling you to take your puppy and start giving it treats, they're putting you on a relationship, the wrong freaking relationship path. And what you're going to want to be on is a transactional relationship. Okay? Transactional relationships are what I'm seeing humans involved in today. It's trade and barter. You know what? You give me something, you get something in return. That's what it is. They threw man's best friend in the garbage. That's not man's best friend. Man's best friend is no different from human best friend. And what is a human best friend? It's mutual trust and respect that builds confidence in any relationship. You cannot respect or be confident in that which you don't trust. That's the reality. That's the reality. But number one thing I hear from dog owners today, guess what? I don't trust my dog. JR, when did the Quadros worm their way into Skinner's work? I think Pete Reeford is best to answer that one because his name is Raymond something, and he wrote a book. Pete mentioned it one night. I got to do some more research into it. And that was really the guy that actually assembled the Quadros, the dog training, and that's when shit went sideways. But again, let's go back to the 60s. I mean, they turned around the, like, B.F. Skinner figured out human beings. That's the reality. Skinner would tell you to replace your dog with a human child and ask you what you would do different. Why? Because when it comes to behaviors, you and your dog is no different. The causes of the dog's behavior is no different from the cause of yours. But under methodological behaviorism, again, you're not allowed to compare human behavior with that of lesser species. But that's exactly what Skinner was doing. He's comparing human behavior to dogs and pigeons and rats. He replaced humans with dog, pigeons, and rats in his lab to understand our behavior. We were the target of his research. He was doing experiments on dogs, pigeons, and rats to understand us. So when I tell you to replace your dog with a human, guess what? I mean it. When it comes to behaviors, Pete's going to answer that question for you. Thank you, Pete. Which brings me to Dog Daddy. Dog Daddy doesn't have a freaking clue about anatomy. I want people to get on Google. I want you to look up the anatomy of a dog's neck, and I want you to look up the anatomy of a human neck and compare them. Compare the two because they're identical. There's no difference. Never mind the spine in the back. Again, you got the Adam's apple, you got your trachea, you got your thyroid and parathyroid. We got neck or nerves all the way through the neck. You got your salivary glands. The whole thing is there. If you turn around, you damage that. And I'll tell you point blank, again, let's go back to Skinner and replace your dog with a human child. With Dog Daddy, if you turn around and replace that dog with a human child and ask yourself, is this abuse? If you declare it not to be abuse, at that point, guess what? You don't deserve to have a dog and you don't deserve to be in society. If I turned around and put a prong collar around your neck and lifted you body and bones out the floor, would that fix you? No, you would need a bloody ambulance and emergency care at the hospital. That's the reality. But yet people are cheering this garbage on. The dog is sitting there completely shut down, complete train wreck, medically damaged, and people are cheering it on thinking the dog is fixed because they don't know any better. Raymond Miltenberger, yes. In the 1990s, that's when it all started. Thank you very much, Pete. Dog Daddy's not a horrible trainer. Dog Daddy, and I'll tell you a few things about Dog Daddy. Dog Daddy is not a trainer. Dog Daddy read Conrad Most Training Dogs, a manual. He said, I can do this. Okay? Because he's all about the prong collar. What Conrad Most called a spike collar. And guess what? Lo and behold, Herm Springer was there with him too. Back in 1910. Imagine that. Funny, eh? And I guarantee you, had the e-collar been invented back in the early 1900s, you would have seen that in the book too. But Conrad talks about the spike collar, the prong collar, and the choke collars and everything else. And all these tools, all the treats, the tools, the e-collars, the prongs, the chokes, the crates, the muzzles, and everything else, these are all tools of IGP that don't belong in your hands. That's part of it. Karen Pryor, yes, she was a big one, and so was Ian Dunbar. And Ian Dunbar was one of the ones that were slinging around the quadrants like it was the dog training Bible. He didn't do any. He did a lot of damage to dogs. And now he's sitting there going, "Oh, those fucking quadrants, they got to go away." But thank you, Pete. Karen Pryor's another one. But there's a whole lot of dog trainers out there right now that know they're lying to you. That's the reality. You know, we need to define what aggression is. We need to define what reactivity is. What is aggression? It's the fight part of your fight or flight response. What is reactivity? It's the flight part of your fight and flight response. And it's caused by cortisol and adrenaline increase in your body. Now, instead of asking why are the dog's cortisol and adrenaline levels going up, they're giving the dog a needle. Why? It's that they can't kill enough dogs. How many vets out there right now have had dog owners crying in their office while they executed dogs for behaviors that they didn't give a shit about? And again, once you understand what a behavior is, euthanasia is off the table. Punishment doesn't work. That's Skinner himself. And euthanasia is the ultimate punishment, but it's the ultimate positive reinforcement for dog owners because now it's a relief. All the shit show is over. Okay? But getting back to Dog Daddy, when Dog Daddy and Zach George were going to war, all that bullshit, again, it was another bullshit war. That's all it was. And when Dog Daddy turned around, and I got the image here, if I can find it, but Dog Daddy turned around and offered Zach George $50,000 to work with a aggressive dog. And of course, Zach's not going to take it, but I told him point blank, you know what? Give me that challenge. You can give it 50 grand. Give me the challenge. You find me a dog that you'd be only too glad to string up by the neck. And we're going to get it live on a camera. He wouldn't dare. But yet I got a like on my page. He actually acknowledged me by a like on my page, but he wouldn't dare because he's already seen all the videos of how I work with dogs in the backyard. He knows I'm not scared of dogs, and he knows that I deal with aggression very well, very quickly. But I told him point blank, you know what? You find me a dog in Edmonton. He's got over, 4 million or 1 million followers or whatever it is on YouTube. You find me a dog in Edmonton, Alberta. I don't even need to know the breed. And I got the post. I'll even put it up on, I'll even make a video for you. You pick a dog that you would gladly string up by the neck. Most aggressive dog there is. I don't even know the breed. I don't need to know anything about the dog. You give me an address and I'll show up. I'm going to be doing it live. Wouldn't do it. Why? Because once that happens, you're done. I'm just reading Pete's comments here. The ticker works from humans working in with non-typical physical, psychological. Jesus, I can't even talk tonight. Oops, hang on, wrong one. Yep, and that's exactly it. You asking me? I've been working with dogs all my life, but I mean, mainly for the last 10 years plus. I've been 35 years punching IT, and I've been doing working with dogs on the side and weekends and evenings and whatnot, taking cases as I could. And then as I gradually got out of IT, because I'm at 54 years old, I'm a dinosaur in IT, so I got more and more into working with dogs, and that's when I really started pushing it. What really put me on the path to insanity, because up until I got Monty 8 years ago, and Monty was a total train wreck. I mean, dog trainers had him destroyed. They cut his nuts off. He was a train wreck when I got him. I mean, he was openly aggressive. He was every owner's worst nightmare, and he wasn't even housebroken. You know, that's what I took on. But he housebroke himself overnight, and I made a promise to Monty at that point. That's when I started noticing dog trainers. That's when I started noticing dog training, and that's when I started really reaching in and digging in. And it took a lot of digging to figure out exactly what's going on. And once you figure out what's going on, once you figure out what's exactly going on with dog training, once you understand all the lies, now you're getting pissed off. And this is when I started going after Robert Cabral. And like I say, I've been watching this crap show for the last 15 years. I've created 6 groups on Facebook. This is the 6th group. The first 5 failed for different reasons, and it's mainly my own stupidity. I learned a lot of hard lessons because I was all about free speech. Now, in this group, I took away all this free speech. You know what? It's about the dog and only the dog. There's no ideologies. There's no dog training allowed to be pushed. Don't come in there bringing feminism. Don't bring all the toxic bullshit from other groups. We got a nice, quiet group. It's of dog owners, for dog owners, and by dog owners. And if there's anybody on here, I'm going to give the name. That's the group name on Facebook, and I will post the link for you. If people are having problems with their dogs, join the group on Facebook. Okay? If you're not on Facebook, join Facebook and just join that group, and we will help you out. It's a group of dog owners, for dog owners, and by dog owners. You're not going to get attacked. You're not going to get jumped. You're not going to be having people telling you to kill your dog. We are completely opposite. Come in with an open mind. Prepare to throw dog training in the garbage. Do not come in here pushing dog training. Do not come in here pushing any other ideology. It doesn't belong. And leave all the toxic bullshit out of the group, because you will be banned. Okay? But come in with an open mind, and we're going to ask you questions. Be prepared to have a discussion, and we're going to help you as much as we can. And let me tell you something. With all of the dog training groups that are right now, there's such a big shit show. Ours is nice and quiet, and you'll see a lot of success stories. You can jump into the group, you can ask people, you can talk to people, other dog owners. They can give you their own success stories on how we had people come into the group that were after spending $10, $20, $30,000 on dog training, vets, and behaviors, only to be told to kill their dog by everybody. Now that they understand how to a bit of psychology and how to apply it, that's when everything changes. Okay. But man, I tell you one thing: this shit show's got to end. It has to end. All they're doing right now is killing dogs. And let's get a show of hands. I mean, how many dog owners today are living like hostages in their own homes? And you all think you feel like you're alone in the world. You're not alone. Trust me. I mean, Pete can verify. We see the same 12 to 15 stories over and over and over again. And it's the same story over and over again. You know, dogs come in, dog owners come in, they're frustrated, they're upset, whatever have you. Yep. And JR, the dog coach, let me tell you something. Anybody that's willing to spend $30,000 on their dog to try to help their dog, you know what? I salute you, man. You've got full respect. And what's happening is you've been extorted for money. That's what it is. You know, dog trainers are over there. Oh, I sell my time. I don't sell results. Yeah, great cop out. Well, you know what? That's going to change. I can guarantee you. The change is coming, folks, one way or the other. I told Robert Cabral 4 years ago, get the hell out of get IGP out of the fucking behavior ring and get a shelter system. And that's another big thing too, because Robert Cabral, when I did the shelter video, that was me putting him on notice that I knew exactly what was going on. You see, IGP dog training created all these problems. Okay, IGP dog training 20 plus years ago, they sold out dog owners to corporate America. They're corporate whores. They're corporate sluts in reality. That's the reality of it. Okay, they sold you out to corporate America, and they started pushing the tools and the treats and everything else of IGP. And their own quarters of dog training. They started blaming Skinner and hiding Conrad most. And like I say, the whole world or society, all they know of positive reinforcement is have a treat, and that's the biggest lie ever. And the damage that that's done is just incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I've talked to people right now that have had their lives decimated. Their families are ripped apart because of a dog. They're after spending $20,000, $30,000 on dog training. Now they can't even leave the house. They've changed careers to work from home. They've turned to drugs, alcohol, and contemplating suicide because all they got is a whole string of people tell them to kill their dog. Trainers, vets, and behaviors. If you get online and look at there's a consult online from Zach and Tana with their little Shiba Inu. Zach had his dog trainer, his behaviors, and his vet calling him, demanding that they make an appointment to bring the dog in to kill the dog. That's the reality. They're calling him, demanding that he bring the dog in to kill it. What the hell? For a cortisol response? For an adrenaline response to something in the environment? This is how bad it's gotten. But yet I'm the slanderer. I'm the libel. I'm the asshole that doesn't know what he's talking about. Jasmine. There you go. Money well spent. Yep. Money well spent. Get a trim or get a slat bill. And to tell you one story, I talked to a fellow down in Texas one day. He's now alone. His wife and kids left because of the dog. He's isolated. He's living alone. He's after spending, I think, around $25,000, $30,000 on dog training. He joined all the groups, and all he ever got from them, because he got a pit bull, is kill your dog, kill your dog, kill your dog. He's got trainers, vets, behaviors telling him to kill the dog. And let me tell you something. I'm going to say something point blank that a lot of dog owners say, that I get it. You see something in your dog that nobody else does. I get it. I see the same thing, and I hear the same thing over and over and over again. You know what? Don't kill your dog. If you've killed your dog because of a trainer's advice or a vet's advice or behavior's advice, I'm sorry to say, but you should be really, really pissed off because you shouldn't have done it. These people can't even define the word behavior. I asked how's Othman over at Shield Canine to define the word behavior. Couldn't do it. He sat there, him and Han. Anybody who's an expert in behavior, off the top of your head, 10 words or less, you should be able to define what it is in a way that people can understand. But yet these people are stumbling, bumbling. They can't define the word behavior. They don't need to, because all they're focused on is shutting down behaviors. That's the reality. They don't give a shit about what behaviors are. They don't care about the cause. And again, Skinner said point blank, The very object of the science of behavior is discovering its causes. Once you discover the causes, you'll realize that it's not an act of free will. Your limbic system in your brain sends signals to your adrenal glands to increase your cortisol levels and adrenaline levels. That puts you right on the precipice or into fight and flight. Exactly it, JR. We are all products of our environment, positive and negative. That's the reality. What is operant conditioning? The fastest way to define it is every time you interact with something new in the environment, it's going to have a positive consequence or a negative consequence. If it's a positive consequence, you're going to go up, you're going to move forward on it, you're going to want to do it again, or you can make it not a big deal, become indifferent to it. If it's a negative consequence, you're going to avoid from it, and that becomes part of you. That's the reality. That's what operant conditioning is. It's all about positive, negative consequences of how you experience the environment. And we're looking at the dog's world through the wrong set of eyes. We need to look at the dog's world through the dog's eyes. But we're always looking at it through our eyes. And you know what? Most people can't even define themselves as animals. They don't understand. Showing the dog the reflections. How did that go, Pete? Glock, if you want to, if it's small enough, you can send it to my email, 50 megs or smaller. You can go to robert@yourdogsnotbroken.org. Oh, it's on Facebook. Yeah, send me a link. Emperor, I've never heard of them. But if you want me to, send me a link and I'll do a reaction to it. I don't know if I can get it up here. I tried to slate a video here and I couldn't figure out how to get the sound turned up. So if you want to, send me a link and I'll do a reaction video to it and I'll explain the science behind it. Emperor Canine Academy, is that on YouTube or is it on Facebook, is it? Okay. I'll take a look at it later on and probably find a video and do a reaction to it. But it's interesting what you just said there. How dog trainers speak to the owner. And it's incredible. I couldn't imagine speaking to an owner and being so condescending and arrogant with them. But yet, number one thing we asked in the group, in the Facebook group, we asked dog owners one question. We have a whole list of new member questions. And the first question is what do you want from your dog? I have no opinion on the outcome of your dog. What do you want from your dog? It's not up to me to tell you what you want from the dog. But yet we got dog trainers out there, you got to create this, you got to create this, you got to create this. And they're telling you to use IJP, and most people have never heard of IJP. IJP dog training is a dog training sport of obedience, tracking, and protection. So when you're trying to teach obedience, you're actually trying to teach your dog IJP dog training. And most people have never heard of IJP dog training. But at some point, your dog's going to be nose to the ground, dragging you down the street. Obedience and tracking. Now that you turn into a tracking dog. When your dog is acting like a fool on the leash and they're trying to protect you, the IJP is the dog training sport of obedience, tracking, and protection. That's exactly what you're creating, unwittingly. You know? Yeah, the trainers come off very aggressive. It's all bullshit. It's all like, again, with Connect-A-Can. Buddy out in Spain. I mean, I spent 20 minutes doing a reaction video 5 months ago, and it's been a burr up his ass ever since. I love it. He's been coming at me anonymously. He's been emailing me. Oh yeah, it's been a burr up his ass. 20 minutes was the best time investment I ever spent because it's driving him crazy. You know? Yep, I'm the same way. We're all the same way. I want owners to trust me. Yep. You know, you got Robert Cabral today, that live tonight, or a video tonight. He's telling the dog owner that he's never met, to rehome a dog that he's never met or assessed or diagnosed. Dog training is a solution without a diagnosis. They don't give a shit about the cause, but yet I'm the idiot. You know? I want dog owners to trust me as well. That's the reality. And it's the right thing to do, JR. I'm glad to have met you. But this shit needs to stop, folks. IGP dog trainers need to get the hell out of the behavior ring, and any trainer that's kind of wants to work in behavior, you need to start using the right terminology. Primary and secondary inducements, not positive and negative reinforcement. Primary and secondary compulsive inducements, not positive and negative punishment. You start doing that, you start pushing Conrad most, and I'm out of the. I'll leave you all alone. That's all I want. But if you don't, I'm going to keep on coming. And if you think I'm afraid of you, trainers, I'm not. Look at my face. I want you to come at me. I want you to sue me. You can dare. You can at least mention my name. My name is not that scary. But this is the reality today, folks. 20 years has taken. 20 years for this shit show to happen. The pet care conglomerate, look it up. That's all your treats and tools and prongs and e-collars and everything else. And you got dog food. Now you got vets involved in it. You got behaviors involved in it. They're all lying to you. They're all blaming Skinner, but pushing Conrad most. Quadrants of dog training. And it doesn't belong. Why is this happening? And why are they getting away with it? And let me tell you something. The trail of destruction is immeasurable. And it's irreparable as far as I'm concerned right now. I don't know if there's any way to repair all the damage done by dog trainers. And dog trainers don't give a shit. You know, people say, well, dog trainers are narcissistic. No, they're gone beyond narcissistic. We're getting into the realms of sociopathy or psychopathy because they have no remorse whatsoever for what they've done. Dog trainers right now, behaviorists and vets can look at dog owners' lives being utterly decimated and destroyed. They don't give a shit. Show me the money. That's all it's all about. Then they're up on camera. I sell my time. I don't sell results. Yeah, great cop-out. People need to start pushing back on this. Go ask your dog trainer, vet, or behaviorist, especially if they're telling you to kill your dog. If you have anybody in your face telling you to kill your dog, you go up and ask them face to face to actually define the word behavior. And when you get a dumb look and they can't do it, run away. That's the reality. And that's a very important thing right there, isn't it? That's why I'm always broke, because there's no money in doing things right. There's a cash cow in line about Skinner. There's a cash cow in line about Conrad most. But once dog owners understand Skinner, guess what? You won't need to hire a trainer. That's the reality. That's why they're so scared. That's why they don't want you reading Skinner. That's why they don't want you reading Conrad most. There's no money in it. I'm not making money at this shit. What I'm doing right now is all pro bono, and I'm doing it for dog owners and dogs. There's nothing in this for me. I'm fighting with dog training right now. I'm trying to shut down dog training right now, and I'm doing it for dog owners and dogs. This is not about me. That's the reality. 5.5 years I've been bloody sick as a dog. And I'm still fighting the good fight. But yet I got mostly dog owners come to my YouTube channel, call me a cunt. Oh, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. They're all brainwashed. That's the reality. They're all freaking brainwashed. They're out there cheering on Dog Daddy, a man that's stringing up dogs by the fucking neck. And again, if I did that to you, you'd need a bloody ambulance and or emergency care. And that's a great statement. Like, how do you change it? How do you make money at this? That's a really good question, isn't it? Because you're not training dogs. People turn around and say, yeah, they come to me, well, why don't you train a dog for IGP? I got more respect for dogs than that. And getting back again to Othmans. Let's see if I can get that video up. There was an 11-second clip that I posted earlier, and I guarantee you, just bear with me here. One second. Remove that. Share screen. Let's go into this one. Yeah, it's not going to work. I've only got one monitor. But if you go to this video here, I'm going to post it right in the comments. Go to that video. That's Othmans from Shield K9, okay? And watch it. It's 11. I've slated a 11-second video. Conrad Most was or Haas was pissed at that dog. He was pissed at the dog, and that dog ran away to the corner, and that dog knew exactly what was coming. And I can guarantee you, the video was edited. At that point, when Haas went to raise the stick, that was when the video was edited. And I guarantee you, he beat that dog because what? Conrad Most is the very Bible for IGP dog training, and Conrad Most lays out rules for beating that dog into submission. Okay, that's the reality. That's what they don't want you to read in the book. That's the reality. That is the very Bible. Oh yeah, but I can guarantee you he beat that dog into submission. They didn't want to show it on TV. And the whole thing is that people need to realize that it takes a whole lot of punishment and abuse to get a dog stuck to your leg like that. But all people are seeing is 10 minutes on video. Oh no, there's a whole lot more going on when that camera's off. And I guarantee one thing, there's a whole lot of IGP dog trainers out there following that book to a T. And they're out there beating dogs. What Dog Daddy shows on camera is disgusting enough, is bad enough. That's complete and utter abuse. I can only imagine what Dog Daddy does when the cameras aren't on. Can you imagine? What goes on when the cameras aren't running? That's what I want to know. Dog training is nothing more than a system of bloody abuse, and it's a scam. And you got to ask yourself point blank, why is social media, why is TikTok hosting this shit? Why is YouTube hosting animal abuse? Why is Facebook hosting animal abuse? Because they're all making money off of it. And they shut people like me up. They shut people like me down. We go right to the very bottom because we're not money makers. We're trying to destroy the cash cows. That's the reality. The concept existed since the dog whisperer. Cesar Millan, you know what? I don't push Cesar Millan. I don't promote Cesar Millan. But Cesar Millan's message is sound. And the entire dog training industry at some point, about 15 years ago, they went after him with both fucking barrels. And it wasn't because of what he was doing. Cesar Millan was they went after him for a few particular dogs. He got bitten by one dog. He admitted exactly what happened. He was using a prong collar on another dog. But I can guarantee one thing: there was a lot of dog trainers out there doing far worse. But yet the entire industry, a balanced IGP and a positive reinforcement went after Cesar Millan. There was a reason for it because they had to destroy the message. That's the reality. And Cesar Millan has no love whatsoever for dog trainers. He knows the entire system of dog training is a shit show that needs to be shut down. You know? Yep. And the thing of it is, you got to realize with Cesar Millan, he's not in control. It's National Geographic. Okay? Why in the hell would National Geographic air that episode with him and the husky stringing him up by the dog's neck? Why? If knowing the flashback and the pushback that we're going to get, stop and think about that. And there was a whole lot of trainers still after Cesar Millan. They still can't stand him. But you know what? If every dog trainer out there had Cesar's track record, the world would be a different story. Yep, exactly it. Nat Geo was the real monster because they're controlling everything. Yes, Cesar made his money, but Nat Geo was the controllers. And I watched a lot of Cesar Millan's episodes, and there was a lot of beautiful episodes. My favorite episode ever was Buddy the Pitbull. Okay? That was a great episode because it showed everything that he was doing. There was no cruelty. There was no nothing. The dog was scared. That's the reality. And he knew. But I mean, Cesar Millan, he's got no fear of dogs. Neither do I. I beat dogs one-on-one the same way as he does. Funny how trainers won't beat dogs one-on-one. I got to go to the bathroom, folks. I'll be back in 2 minutes, okay? Bear with me. JR, I love pits too. They're my favorite. If I had a space, I'd have a whole pack of pit bulls because they're so easy to work with. Pit bulls are amazing because once you meet their needs and give them some trust and respect and autonomy, you got a friend for life. I live in Edmonton, Alberta, and there used to be we used to have breeds. What do you call it? Breed legislation where they were banned. But they finally took the bone to their head and they allowed pit bulls again. Well, pit bulls are probably one of the number one breeds in the city right now. And I use the term pit bull as the overall look of a dog. That's it. And number one dogs we got in dog parks are pit bulls. That's the reality. We got every kind of breed going on here. It's not fit. We got big dogs, small dogs. We got dogs running around like 1.5 pound Yorkies. And, there's a one Great Dane Mastiff Cross named Percy. He's 220 pounds. He's massive. But Glock, you got to ask yourself, why are pits banned in the UK? Why are pits being banned? Why are people so scared of pit bulls? Because dog trainers, they're all scared of pit bulls. And I made a video a while back, and I got a few responses about it. I asked people point blank, or told people point blank, go out and create a fictitious 80-pound aggressive pit bull. And you call up 10 or 20 trainers in your city and ask them to come out and meet your aggressive dog and see what the results are. Not one person will come out and meet the dog. People actually commented. They sent me emails, and they commented on my YouTube saying point blank, most of them said kill the dog over the phone because of what it is. Others said go to a vet, and others said, you know what, we're not dealing with it. Not one person that they contacted would actually come out and meet the dog. But yet when people contact me, I'm always the first one there. Dog trainers for 20 years have been spewing all about this fear of pit bulls. Othmans again did a live podcast on his channel a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. You can go watch it, where he's all about pit bulls and control and manage the pit bull. The problem is what they're doing when they like every dog breed, with the exception of a few, were bred to chase something. Okay, you got hunting dogs, you got herding dogs, you got sled dogs, and even Pomeranians are little sled dogs, believe it or not. That tiny little furball, they were designed for dragging small sleds for the Andes. But just about every breed was bred to chase. But yet trainers are out there saying, well, don't let your dog chase, it'll create prey drive. And then they're telling you to control and manage the dog. What they're doing right now, they're making you work backwards. So when you're controlling all those genetics, guess what? You're actually frustrating the dog. You're causing all the frustration. So you got a hunting dog or a herding dog, and all of a sudden, at some point, anything that moves in the environment becomes something to chase, and they get frustrated. And at some point, they just get so frustrated that they will try to kill. But it's control and manage the dog harder. You know what? Now you got to get a prong collar. Now you got to get an e-collar. All you got to do, number one thing I tell dog owners, and more and more are listening, more and more I'm seeing videos of dog owners letting their dog chase a remote control car. Haas did a great video on e-collars, and he's selling e-collars on his channel. One of them is $650. That's what he uses on his own dog. $650 for an e-collar. So I did the reaction to the video. Said point blank, you know what? Why are you using these things? Why are you calling these things training tools when you've been using it on Gauge for the last 5 years? And then I went to Amazon. I'm showing people, you know what? Go out and buy yourself a lunge whip. $30-40. You can get a lunge whip. Tie a little lure at the end of it, and you got a great flirt pole. $250. You can have a great remote control car, something that hauls ass, and you got a spare battery. You get your dog out chasing a remote control car in a flat out chase, you're going to end up with a tired dog dissatisfied because now they got it under the system. Then take that dog for a walk and come back and tell me how many behavioral issues you got. You know? But getting back to Cesar Millan with the pit bull pull, I actually slated that video on my channel. Again, I'm not in full agreement with Cesar Millan. The message is perfect, and at some point I'm going to grab that message and react to it. He did a great. He finally did a great video on his own message, and let me tell you something. He's not a fan or a lover of dog trainers, but he did that pit bull pull, and he's saying, you know what? Address the energy first, and then deal with whatever's left over. You know, so people are saying, well, you know, pit bulls are killers. Well, if you got a pit bull that's all amped up, an 80-pound pit bull that never gets to chase, that never gets any exercise, and never gets to run, at some point they're going to be frustrated enough. And if they get outside that fence, they're going to go from a 0 to 100, or like a 60 to 100, 6 out of 10 to 100. And let me tell you something, all bets are off. There's your aggressive dog. There's your dangerous dog. I've met dangerous dogs. And dangerous dogs are quite simple to understand. When their cortisol levels and adrenaline levels are gone so far up, their eyeballs are getting bloodshot. Why? Because the cortisol levels are driving the blood pressure up. And when you see red bloodshot eyes, now you're in the freaking danger zone. That's the dangerous dog. And that's anything, even human beings. Human beings can get so angry that they become dangerous. There's people sitting in jail right now. They committed a crime of passion. They killed somebody in a fit of rage because their cortisol and their adrenaline was so built up. They're sitting in jail now because they were a dangerous human being. But how is that dangerous dog in a calm state? How is that aggressive dog in a calm state? How is that reactive dog in a calm state? When there's no cortisol, there's nothing to react to. Funny, eh? Number one thing I hear in the group, and Peter can verify it as well. We always ask dog owners, what do you want? Not once, through the thousands of dog owners that have come to that group, not once have we ever heard the words, I want a well-trained dog. Number one response, I want a calm dog. I want a dog I can take anywhere. They don't even give a shit if the dog is sick. But yet all dog trainers out there train the dog. And number one thing I hear from dog owners after they finally realize that, you know what, psychology is the way to go. They ditched all dog training. They fired every dog trainer out there. They're always asking, how the hell did I get on this dog training train in the first place? Well, guess what? It's positive reinforcement. I look at dog training like a casino. You walk into a casino, it's all, lights and loud noises, and, it's all exciting. You got positive reinforcement over here, you got balance over here, you got IGP in the back. And everybody starts off in positive reinforcement because, hey, it's the good one, right? And you walk up to a slot machine, you start putting money into it. Now you're stepping in front of a dog trainer, and you're gambling. So now you're going to start shoveling money into the slot machine. You're going to start shoveling money into this trainer. You might get a little win here and there. Oh, my God, my dog finally sat for a treat. Now you're getting the addiction. It's all those positive consequences. If you walk into a corner store and buy a scratch ticket and win $10,000, that's a positive consequence. It's going to keep you ponying up. And at some point, all those positive consequences add up, and your positive reinforcement is now you're a gambler. So when Zach George is saying, oh, it's all positive, no, it's not. There's a whole dark side to positive reinforcement that people don't realize. So let's get back to the slot machine. All of a sudden, you're not getting those little positive and negative consequences anymore. You're starting to realize that machine's not going to pay out. Trainer's not doing shit. They sell their time. They don't sell results. Now you go to another trainer. You start pumping in money into a different slot machine, hoping that's going to pay out. It doesn't pay out. You go to another one. Eventually, you give up on positive reinforcement. Now you go over to balance. There's some good fucking news. And all of a sudden, all those primary inducements, the treats, you're going to be taking those primary inducements into fucking balance training with you. And you're going to be going to the 4 quadrants. Positive or primary inducements is 1 quadrant of IGP. Guess what? Now you're going in all 4. You're going to be going inducements and compulsive inducements. That's how you get on the dog training train. This is an addiction, and people get brainwashed. And guess what? Nobody understands psychology because they redefined all psychology. They redefine positive reinforcement. They redefine negative reinforcement. They redefine applied behavior analysis. They redefined operant conditioning. They redefined operant conditioning to a method of behavior modification using reward and punishment. And people wonder why I'm losing my mind. And people are screaming, why isn't this shit working? Well, there you go. Yep. The whole thing is a lot of people are doing things right, but they don't understand the science. And once you understand the psychology, the very science of it all, that's when everything changes, isn't it? Isn't it, JR? That's the reality. And it's crazy. We got another good fellow in the group. His name is Ray Ward. He's a certified behaviorist, and he knows what he's doing. He's showing videos and whatever have you. It's great to see people like that. We've got some really good people on board, and we got a whole lot of dog trainers in that group. And let me tell you something. There's a whole lot of dog trainers right now that are actually starting to realize that, you know what, they learned the wrong shit. They had the wrong stuff shoved down their throat. I've had private messages with dog trainers that I haven't told anybody about. Before I got banned on Facebook, I actually criticized Larry Crone when he put up that post about the genius of IJP, and he got me banned on Facebook. And by the way, Larry Crone, Robert Cabral, if you want to find out who's in control, figure out who you can't criticize, right? There you go. You out it yourself. You're the visible heads of the snake, but you actually got bosses, don't you? You actually got people that you respond to, don't you? Because you sold your fucking souls, didn't you? I love the last video that Robert Cabral put out for me. Let me tell you something. He looked like he was rode hard and put away wet. He looked like he was in bad shape, and he looked like he wanted out. And let me tell you something, Robert. If you want a way out, I can give you a way out. If any trainer wants a way out, I can give you a way out. It's going to hurt. But it's going to hurt a whole lot less if you do it my way. Because if I get my way, this whole shit show is going down, this whole scam. And let me tell you something. Again, there's certain trainers that need to go to jail for this crap. There are certain trainers that need to spend the rest of their life in prison for bringing this fucking scam in the first place because you've caused billions of dollars in damage. Number one scam is money. That came out about 100 years ago. Money doesn't exist. Money's fiat. But yet money is the biggest positive reinforcement right now. Money doesn't exist. Money is fake. You're trading, going out and buying things with fake freaking money. That's the reality. It's the biggest scam in the world. But yet, people will live or die for it. People will kill for it. Dog trainers will do anything for a dollar, for the almighty dollar, for that positive reinforcement. Money right now is the biggest positive reinforcement. Feminism is the second biggest scam in the last 100 years. Dog training is the third biggest scam in the last 30 years. That's the reality. What do you mean by that? Cognitive scientists. And I ask that in a nice way. Yep. And then I got people coming to my channel again, and they're always trying to defend this garbage. I got people trying to defend this freaking garbage. You know, the 11-second video, there's one person commenting on it right now. And I said point blank, when the video cut, he was raising that stick. He was going to beat the dog into submission, and they still deny it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Skinner. Skinner was absolutely brilliant. Skinner was dangerous, actually. I mean, even the FBI was watching Skinner because he was in contact with communist countries trying to wake them up. That's the reality. Skinner wanted society based on positive reinforcement. And he railed against the penal society that we live in. We live under the quadrants of dog training, the cake and stick, the reward and punishment. What do you think keeps us in line? It's all a threat of punishment. You don't speed because you don't want a speeding ticket. The speeding ticket is a punishment. You don't go out and commit crimes because it's a threat of punishment of going to jail. That's what keeps you in line. It's punishment with a constant threat of punishment. It's reward and punishment. That's all it is. You know? You had a pigeon guided missile. That's kind of badass, it's right. But the thing of it was, what people don't seem to realize, what trainers don't want you to know, is that B.F. Skinner was actually using food as a reinforcement, not a reward. And he was creating abnormal behaviors in his lab in animals. Okay? He wasn't changing behaviors based on the emotion. He was creating abnormal behaviors, and that's what dog trainers are supposed to be doing. Okay? A dog will sit naturally. A dog sitting on command, that's an abnormal behavior. That's abnormal. If it was a natural behavior, they'd all do it on command. I've never seen a dog look at a set of poles and say, hey, I'm going to weave through those. That's an abnormal behavior that needs to be trained. But the problem is they turned around and they lumped all behaviors, abnormal and normal behaviors, into the same boat. Now they're trying to shut them all down. They're trying to train behaviors. And that's the big joke called dog training today. That's the entire joke. Yep, deprivation. That's another big thing about it. I mean, he kept his when he started working with pigeons, it's pigeons that turned his mind or changed his mind on behavior because he couldn't shock their feet consistently in the Skinner box. So he had to find a different way, and that's when he switched over to complete positive reinforcement. Okay, he understood that negative reinforcements generate behaviors of fight and flight. As the applied negative reinforcement, the application of negative reinforcement they call punishment. So when you give a child a smack in the ass, you're presenting a negative reinforcer, but it has to be followed up with a threat of punishment because punishment itself is reverse of reinforcement. The threat of punishment has to be there. Once the threat of punishment is gone, once that tool is gone, once the threat is gone, then guess what? The desire for the thing that caused the punishment in the first place is in the mind, not the limbic system. And the mind has no control over your behaviors. If I stick you in the taser on your leg, you're going to dance across the floor. That's not your mind causing that. Your mind is playing catch up. Your mind is trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Okay? Your mind is always playing catch up to your limbic system. And a better example of that, have you ever had the hackles on the back of your neck stand up? Ever had the hair stand on the back of your neck? Could you control that? That's your animal hackles. That's the reality. If you can't control them, how the hell can the dog control them? That's your limbic system declaring there's, you know what, imminent danger. Your limbic system of your brain is detecting danger, and your mind is going, what the hell is going on? Your mind is trying to play catch up. Your mind has no say in how you behave. So if your child turns around and steals cookies, and you give him a smack in the ass, he's still going to want cookies. What are you controlling? The limbic system of the brain. Positive punishment doesn't exist. That's the problem. Positive punishment is actually, under Conrad Most, primary compulsive inducements. That's your tools. That's the lie. There is no such thing as positive and negative punishment. Positive reinforcement does not have a treat. Negative reinforcement is not removing things. That's the reality. That's the big lie. That's the big scam they call dog training. And that's the reason why they make it sound so good, you know? Well, that's not quite true, Glock. Okay? Here's the whole thing. Like, positive reinforcement is all about desires. And stop and think about what positive reinforcement is. You take a child. There's a lot of kids that there's like, I look at YouTube, And there's some incredible talent out there, man. There's kids out there right now. I mean, when I was 8 years old, I was playing with dinkies in the sandbox, eating cat shit in the sandbox. There's 8-year-olds out there right now that spent most of their life trying to play guitar, and they're incredible. I watched a 12-year-old girl one night sit down, and the camera's over her shoulder. You never see her face. It's all about her drawing. She sat down, and she did a complete brain dump of this hyper-realistic image, and she got it down on paper in black and white. It was incredible to watch. There's such incredible talent, but the thing of it is, when children are very talented with art, a lot of the times the parents are going, you know what, you can't make money off of that, find something else to do. So you're actually taking away the child's positive reinforcement. And I have to ask, how many people are there right now doing a job they can't stand? They know they were designed for something better. Every brain in my in the way I think about things, every brain was meant to be great at something, and every brain is going to be great at something, but not every brain finds that something. That's your positive reinforcement. And that's what B.F. Skinner wanted the society based on. So instead of taking that away, what Skinner would say is nurture the artistic talent that a child has and find a way for them to express it. That's the reality. Positive reinforcement is just animal behavior. There's good and bad to it, but he railed against the punitive society because it's punishment that's causing all the problems. And that's the whole thing with education, JR. Like a lot of people, like I say, a lot of people understand what they were doing. They knew they were doing the right thing. But now that you understand the science behind it, it's going to make you a whole lot better. And it's going to make you see the world differently. I don't see chance anymore. All I see is consequences, positive and negative. That's it. And once you start seeing the world in positive, negative consequences, everything changes. I wish people could see the world through my eyes with Asperger's. I'm an empath with Asperger's, which actually elevates that. So when I see people's behaviors, I'm very in tune to people's feelings and emotions and behaviors. I can watch people's behaviors and read them like a book. They can't get away from it. I know exactly when somebody's lying. I know when somebody's being deceitful. That's why I prefer to do face-to-face when I'm talking to people. Because I need to see the behaviors. I need to be able to see what they're doing to know when to de-escalate. Because a lot of times when I'm on consults, I'm saying things that's actually going to be, it sounds like I'm blaming the owner. But now you got to start de-escalating and saying, you know what, it's not your fault. This is what you were told to do, right? You're talking about me being right or somebody else? Not necessarily. Again, once you understand what positive reinforcement is, it's like we got a whole lot of people out there right now, dog trainers and behaviors and everything else, call themselves experts in behaviors. Well, here's the problem. When you sit down and read B.F. Skinner's book about behaviorism, the first line at the intro states clearly that behaviorism is not the science of human behavior, it's the philosophy of that science. And what is philosophy but a quest for knowledge? B.F. Skinner was in the field for 50 years. He was brilliant. What he gave to the world was incredible, and it was 100%. But even in that arc of a sentence, he's stating point blank that even he's not an expert. He's not that freaking narcissistic and psychopathic. He's saying in that arc of a sentence that even I'm not an expert. Maybe nobody will ever figure it out, but yeah, we got a bunch of assholes that are running around, oh, I'm an expert in behavior. They can't even define the word. That's the reality. But what you got to realize is that Skinner railed. What you're talking about right now is the punitive society. And that's what Skinner railed against. Skinner wrote 180, he published 180 papers. And he actually talked about the prison system. It's not a system of rehabilitation, it's a system of punishment and constant threat of punishment. The way it's supposed to work, if I turn around and did a crime, I can go to jail, do my time, and that should be the end of it. But no, when I get out of jail, now I got a criminal record dog me for the rest of my life. So that's the constant threat of punishment. And that constant threat of punishment, guess what? That's creating a revolving door because nobody wants to hire me. I can't have a decent life anymore because I actually did that crime. And I've always got that crime heading over my head. That's what Skinner was railing against. And once you truly understand what positive reinforcement is, and Skinner wanted society based on positive reinforcement. Once you understand truly what positive reinforcement is, then you understand what he meant. Well, you'd have a lot less criminals in society. That's the reality. Under positive reinforcement, if Skinner had his way, you know. Anybody got any questions? I think I'm done ranting for the night. Or any other topics that you want to talk about? Just give me a second. I have some questions here somewhere, and I can't remember what they are. Oh, that's something else I wanted to, medical issues. That's something else I wanted to stop and think about or talk about. All right, Peter, take care. Eh? That's a great question. Any particular hard clients? Yeah, when I met Murray Sutherland, he's got 4 pit bull crosses. And let me tell you something. His dog Bear, she was PTSD, and she was what I would call a dangerous dog. That little bitch nipped me 3 times. So I spent 3 hours doing 3 different assessments in the backyard. That dog, for the first hour and a half, she just needed to bark it out as a bitching post for her. And in the first session, the owners and the Murray and his daughters were watching through the window. He couldn't believe that I was in the backyard with his dog. And trust me, there's been dogs like Bear and Freddie that maybe question my own sanity. What the hell am I in the backyard for? But at that point, once you're in the backyard, you're not getting back out. And like I said, the first hour and a half, she was out of her mind. But once she blew out the lines, she became a bitch, and I became a challenge to her. And she was throwing the kitchen sink at me. She wasn't showing aggression anymore. She was just doing this to try to get me. I was a challenge to her. She was trying to see what it would take to scare me to get me in the backyard. And I got one video clip on YouTube. I'm going to see if I can find it again. Where the last thing that happened was that I had Murray bring the father up, Milo, and his Bear's biological father. And when Milo came out, Bear actually tagged me. You can see her. She's jumping up in my lap. She's tagging me. She's barking, and she scurries out of the way. And then Milo comes in. I mean, he's right up between my legs. I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. It was totally dynamic. But as it was, he didn't bite me. And then Murray took Milo back into the house. And you can actually see Bear. She's still tagging him. She's still trying to get her father to drive me out of the backyard. But once that happened, once she realized that even Milo wouldn't drive me out of the backyard, she shut down. She stopped. She became a completely different dog. The 4th session we hit a dog park, and she blew my mind. When is the podcast with William Chandler Duff? It's going to be Sunday at 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. I've already got it scheduled on a live. Will it happen? I don't know, because if he talks to Robert, I told him point blank, you know what, make sure Robert Cabral and Larry Crow get to see it. And if he mentions that we're doing a podcast, chances are they're going to shut him down. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Okay? Here's the problem, and you bring up a great thing there, the word correction. Robert Cabral is one of the ringleaders of all this thing. And funny, when Robert Cabral gets up on a live and says something, he sat down on a live one night, and I've got it up on my channel. You can go look at it. You can look it up, and you can listen for yourself. He said point blank on live, I don't like the word punishment. I prefer the word correction. And boom, magically, the word correction went right on for the dog training community. Positive reinforcement, purely positive, balanced in IGP dog training. Everybody's now correct the dog. It's not punishment anymore. That's what you need to realize. Slip lead can actually damage the dog's neck. It can damage the dog's thyroid. It can actually damage the trachea. Please do not come to me with talking about a slip lead. They're not necessary. But getting back to this one here, Freddie was the big pain in the ass because he had a hair trigger. And Freddie is the only dog that actually managed to scare me to jump. That was the first time in my life I ever jumped the fence because I made a big mistake. Okay? I had Murray bring Freddie out on a leash, and when he came out, he was like a sled dog. He was coming after me, and I seen the intent in his face. If he had got his teeth into me, it would have been game over. So I actually had to jump the fence. Now he's got my number. Now he knows what it takes to scare me. Now I got to get back in the backyard with him. That was a interesting case, let me tell you. And Freddie had a rubber neck and a hair trigger. But again, you get out and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk, and you give the dog a choice. So I've got the video here somewhere. I got to find it again. But it had to be his choice to come to me. He had to make that decision to come to me. And once he did that, everything changed. You know? Yeah, it's all about understanding with me, right? But the thing of it is, when you start choking at a dog, That's not the right thing to do. That's all punishment. Punishment does not work. Punishment is removal of positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is actually what the dog's desires. What does the dog want to do? That's their positive reinforcement. When a dog goes fight or flight, that is also the positive reinforcement. So if you're turning around, you're cranking and yanking on a dog that's, losing their shit at something in the environment, that's the worst punishment you can do. That's the reality. So when I see dog trainers using a muzzle and a leash, they're taking away the dog's positive reinforcement, a base primal positive reinforcement of fight or flight, because they're scared. They don't want to get bit. But the dog is going to pay the price. Now we got the negative reinforcements generate behavior. So now we got the dog trainer is a negative reinforcement to the dog. The dog is a negative reinforcement to the dog trainer. So the dog trainer is on fight or flight. Now the dog is going to lose because now they're in the muzzle. They got a leash on, and guaranteed, the trainer is going to win every time, and they're going to wind up forcing the dog to submit. You don't need to apologize. It's just I can get a little grumpy at times. I can get a little testy. But if you got questions, ask away. Bulletproof. The thing of it is, how would I put this? The question is what do you want from your dog? I don't give a shit what they're pulling off. When they say bulletproof, again, when the camera's not on, Conrad Most is the reason why these dogs are bulletproof, because they're going through so much punishment and so much bloody abuse when the cameras are not on. I guarantee you these guys are beating their dog into submission. It takes a lot of abuse and punishment to get a dog stuck to your leg paying attention to you. What Skinner called that was the atrophy of consciousness. And the atrophy of consciousness, the world goes like really, really small. That's the reality. And all they do is pay attention to the owner. The owner is their environment. There's nothing else exists around them. And it takes an awful lot of reward. It takes a lot of punishment and overall abuse. And again, with Conrad Most, if people would read the book, and I'll put the book in the comments. Conrad laid rules for beating the dog into submission. And if the dog will not accept authority, if you can't beat that dog into submission, then get rid of the dog because it's no good. Okay? Yeah, the dog becomes aggressive because that point, with all that all that abuse and punishment, the owner is now belonging to the dog. That's the reality. The owner is the only thing that matters to the dog. The consciousness has been forced to atrophy. That's Skinner's own words. That's a result of methodological behaviorism in Conrad Most. Monty could care less if I pet another dog. We go to dog parks and I'm constantly squat down petting dogs. When I squat down and pet dogs, I'm giving them the choice to come to me. That's the reality. I've never once used a treat or a tool. I don't use punishment. I don't apply punishment. I'm not using positive reinforcement. I'm giving the dog the positive reinforcement. I'm taking all the thresholds off the dog. Show me what you got. You give me calm, you can have whatever you want. You're barking at the dog over there. I can see. I know you want to meet that dog. You give me calm, you get there. You give me excitement, you don't get shit. You show me excitement, we're going to stop. You're not going anywhere. Once you give me calm, we're going to move forward. That's exactly it. Yep. The cause will always express itself at some point, and it will start growing heads. This is the reason why it's cause and effect. It's all causality. We're slaves to it. Something is causing the dog's behavior, and there's quite often today that hypothyroidism is causing the dog's behavior. And this is one of the things that just happened in the group. I want to talk about. One of the questions that we asked is, does your dog have any unexplained allergies or oddball behaviors? And that's an expression to find out if the dog is hypothyroid. Because hypothyroidism right now is epidemic. And that's according to Jean Dodds over at Hemopet. She's one of the leaders in the endocrine system of a dog. And she will tell you point blank that it's at epidemic levels right now. I've dealt with this twice personally in my life, and I had to actually fight with vets to get a thyroid test done. Okay? Hypothyroidism can lead to a whole lot of weird issues, including behavioral issues. So vets are out there right now. One of the big causes of hypothyroidism is spay and neuter. So we got vets out there right now who are not only doing damage to dogs, they're cutting the nuts off of dogs and doing hysterectomies on dogs, younger the better. It's causing a hypothyroid condition. The hypothyroidism, the thyroid is one of the master control organs for the endocrine system. Okay? Now, dog trainers and vets and everybody else are telling you to, if your dog is reactive or aggressive, spay or neuter the dog. Well, the problem is, once you take away the dog's natural ability to create the sex hormones that they need to grow, there's only one other set of organs in the body that can actually create those sex hormones, the small amounts, and that's the adrenal glands. In a reactive or a dog showing aggression all the time, the adrenal glands are actually working overtime to produce cortisol and adrenaline. Now they got to produce sex hormones on top of that. Once the adrenal glands become exhausted, guess what? That becomes Cushing's, that becomes Addison's, and a whole lot worse. Okay? Yep. And that's exactly what aggression and reactivity is. That is your fight or flight response. Aggression and reactivity. If you as a human being, when you're scared in the environment, your limbic system of your brain, not your mind, but your limbic system in your brain is going to send a signal to your adrenal glands to increase the cortisol and adrenaline. And that puts you on the precipice of fight or flight, or goes into a full-blown fight or flight. That's the hormone causing your fight or flight response. It's a hormonal response to something in the environment. But yet trainers are trying to beat that out of a dog. We got vets killing dogs for it. Make it make sense. Yeah, that's the problem. People are calling themselves experts in behavior, and they couldn't find their own ass with a map when it comes to behavior. They can't define the word behavior. They don't need to define the word behavior because it's all Conrad Most. Conrad Most didn't give a shit about behavior. There's no psychology whatsoever to Conrad Most. They turned around. Back in the 60s, behaviorists at the time turned around and they baked a cake with Edward Thorndike. They assassinated B.F. Skinner professionally, and they overlaid him with Edward Thorndike and methodological behaviorism. So everything that people believe is Skinner is actually Edward Thorndike. Then in the 90s, trainers turned around, they iced that cake with Conrad Most, and they signed Skinner's name to it. There's no psychology at all to Conrad Most. The psychology is in B.F. Skinner. The reason why they blame Skinner is because they want that behaviors label. That's all they want. They blame Skinner so they can actually call themselves behaviors, but none of them are qualified. Not even vet behaviors are qualified. So we got vets that are out there killing dogs for a hormonal response to something in the environment. They're killing dogs for a cortisol and adrenaline response to something in the environment. But yet they're calling me an asshole. He talks about dog behavior, not behaviorism as a whole. Dog's behavior is different. Yes, and that's called methodological behaviorism. I think you were late to the game. Edward Thorndike created the psychological field of methodological behaviorism, and he's full of shit. That's what we live under today, okay? The reality is, under methodological behaviorism, number one rule of methodological behaviorism is do not dare. You're not allowed to compare human behavior with that of lesser species. But that's exactly what Skinner was doing as a radical behaviorist. Skinner would tell you, as a radical behaviorist, to replace your dog with a human child and ask you what you would do different. Why? Because what he was doing, he was replacing human beings with dogs, pigeons, and rats in his lab, and he was doing experiments on dogs, pigeons, and rats to understand our behavior. So he's doing experiments on dogs, pigeons, and rats, and we were the target of his research. That's the reality. That's the difference between radical behaviorism and methodological behaviorism. This is why we now have dog trainers and dog owners. Oh, it's just an animal. The dog's just an animal. That's the reality. So we got human beings walking around with his measuring stick for life and intelligence, and we're the only ones that are allowed to measure up to it. But yet all life on the planet, even plants and insects, are sentient. And you can go look this up. It's crazy. And that's the very problem. Nobody knows who these names are. You know, I look at Ivan Balabanov. Ivan Balabanov sits on camera talking about blame Skinner for the quarters of operant conditioning. But yet he turned around and I couldn't believe he actually sat on camera one day, and I got the video. I did that reaction video to him, where he actually sat on camera and declared that only trainers like him, he's an IGP dog trainer, formerly known as Schutzen, follows Conrad Most, and he stated clearly that only IGP trainers like him should be working in behavior. I just about puked. Okay? Now, Ivan Balabanov blames Skinner on a camera, on lives, for the quarters of operant conditioning. Okay? But even he contradicted himself on one live, and I still got to find that video and react to it. It's on YouTube somewhere. It's on his channel. And he actually stated clearly, it wasn't even a moral issue for B.F. Skinner. He openly opposed punishment. But I'm asking Ivan, okay, if Skinner openly opposed punishment, where the fuck did the punishment quarters come from? Nobody wants to answer that question because it's all Conrad Most. Then I've actually done 2 consults with former clients of Ivan Balabanov. They paid $10,000 to go through his course, and they weren't happy with the results. You know what book they got at the end of it? It wasn't B.F. Skinner about behaviorism. Ivan Balabanov turned around and gave them each a copy of Conrad Most Training Dogs. And I'm going to post the books about behaviorism and Conrad Most Training Dogs in the comments. This is the scam called dog training. Conrad Most. Nobody's ever heard of Conrad Most. But I hope to God I hope we do that podcast on Sunday, me and William Chandler Duff, because he's an IGP dog trainer. He knows all about Conrad Most, but yet he's talking about positive and negative reinforcement, positive and negative punishment. We're going to have a whole deal of conversation to have. Nobody knows who Conrad Most is, and nobody's ever read Skinner. Everybody blames B.F. Skinner. Skinner should be mandatory reading. If Skinner were mandatory reading, you wouldn't have dog trainers in the behavior ring at all. That's the reality. That's the reality. If B.F. Skinner woke up tomorrow and seen the state of dog training being blamed on him, he would sue the entire fucking lot of them into submission. That's the reality, because they're all frauds. And that's why they're calling me a fraud. That's why they're calling me a slanderer, you know? If Skinner woke up tomorrow, dog trainers would actually argue with B.F. Skinner about his own work. That's the reality. But yet people are coming to me, dog owners. It breaks my heart when dog owners come to me and they're saying I'm wrong. They will come to me. They're like Christians. Most Christians have never read the Bible. I have. I read the Old and New Testament. You know what? It's the longest bloody read. It took me a year and a half to get through them. But once you read them, but yet I got Christians coming to me that have never read the Bibles and they want to argue the contents of what's in the books. I've got dog owners coming to me. They would never read B.F. Skinner or Conrad Most, but yet they come to me and they argue the contents of books they haven't read. And it breaks my heart. People's knowledge has been taken away. Your knowledge is your power. People's knowledge has been stripped away. It's knowledge that leads to understanding. And once you understand, what is fear but lack of understanding? People don't know. They don't have any knowledge. They don't have any understanding. That's why they're afraid. Once you understand, if you're scared of spiders, once you understand spiders, you won't be afraid of spiders anymore. But it takes knowledge with least understanding. And people's power has been taken away. Your knowledge is your power. But dog trainers have taken away your power. They've taken away all your knowledge and they replaced it with garbage. And people are wondering why I'm losing my mind. This entire system of dog training is nothing more than a friggin' scam, and it needs to stop. And there are certain people, the top 10 dog trainers, they need to go to prison for the rest of their fucking life. This is criminal. This is not civil anymore. This is freaking criminal. And there are dog trainers out there right now, dog daddy, need to go to jail for a while to stop and think about what they're doing. You know, again, with dog daddy, if I turned around and put a prong collar around your neck or your child's neck and lift you off the friggin' floor, body and bones, people are cheering, oh, the dog is magically fixed, no, the dog is shut down. If I did that to you as a human being, the anatomy of your neck is the same thing as the dog's. You wouldn't need an ambulance in a bloody hospital. But yet people are cheering it on because the dog's sitting there, the dog is all quiet, the dog's a fucking train wreck, the dog is a medical mess. You're cutting off the friggin', like your jugglers are on both sides the same as the dog. If you cut off the blood supply, you're actually cutting off the circulation to the brain. You're cutting off oxygen to the brain. What is that doing to the, amygdala? Understanding is key. It's knowledge that leads to understanding. People have no knowledge. Their power has been taken away. Knowledge is power, and people don't have knowledge anymore. You've been dumbed down. You've been brainwashed by a bunch of assholes that want your money. Dog training is nothing more than a freaking extortion ring. They're lying to you in spades. You got trainers out there lying to you. You got behaviors out there lying to you. You got vet behaviors out there lying to you. And they're all part of the pet care conglomerate. They're all selling the same garbage. That's what Zach George calls scientific consensus, and it needs to stop. That's a good point. There's never any follow-up videos. You know, when Dog Daddy supposedly trained Squatch to Tibetan Mastiff, that was the most disgusting video I've ever watched in my life. But you know what? It was one of the most beautiful videos I've ever watched in my life. Not once was Dog Daddy ever in control. Squatch was always in control. And let me tell you something, but that gave me a whole new perspective on the Tibetan Mastiff. I never put much faith in much thought into the Tibetan Mastiff because I've never met one before. It's not a common breed around here. Pete Reeford has 2 Tibetan Mastiffs, and they're out and run around dog parks. And they're actually litter mates, male and female. But when I watched Dog Daddy, not once did Squatch ever choose violence. And that was so impressive. Had Squatch once chosen violence, that muzzle wouldn't have stopped him. He would have done some serious damage, and Dog Daddy knew it. He was hiding behind a freaking chair and then a sheet of plywood. He knew that Squatch was in control. He was never once in control, but yet he beat in his chest after the fact. Oh yeah, we trained the dog. And what he's trying to do, he's trying to freaking abuse and beat the freaking guardian breed out of a dog. He's trying to beat genetics out of a dog. That's the reality, and you can't do that. It's impossible. And like I said, not once did Squatch ever choose violence. Had Squatch chosen violence, it would have been bad. That muzzle wouldn't have stopped him. That I can guarantee you. Anybody got any questions? I'll be right back. I'm going to hit the bathroom again. I'm not feeling very good. If you got questions, ask them up. Just gonna grab another drink. All right, JR, you have a good night. Yep. Mastiffs are a guardian breed. Every dog was bred for something. And if you want to see some impressive video and watch what Tibetans do, watch the Tibetan Mastiff against a snow leopard. One-on-one, the Tibetan Mastiff won't survive against a snow leopard. It takes 4 or 5 to chase a snow leopard off. And even then, violence is always the last resort with these dogs. It's incredible. Tibetan Mastiffs are incredible when you start understanding the breeds. Hi, Kelly. Welcome aboard. My God, it's been an hour and 45 minutes of ranting. Anybody else got any questions or comments or things they want to listen to? Or I want to get into Garrett Wing over at American Standard Dog Training. And again, Garrett, I'm going to redo that video because I know you love it. But we got these people out there with Garrett Wing that are beating their chest talking about being the best of the best of behaviors. And anybody is using e-collars and prongs and whatever have you. And again, with Garrett Wing, what he's willing to do on camera, I can only imagine what goes on off camera. He's kind of like Dog Daddy in that capacity. When he did that video with the Malinois pup tied to a tree, I couldn't believe that. And then he's beating his chest about being the best and the best in behavior. And again, Garrett Wing is another one that won't utter my fucking name, but he's going to be cursing my name privately here pretty quick. He knows who I am, but he won't say anything to me. And I'm constantly saying to trainers, why don't you get online and do a podcast with me? And not one of them want to. And people say, well, it's your attitude. No, it's not my attitude. These trainers do not want to get online and talk about Conrad Most and B.F. Skinner because it will destroy them. And like I say, if I can get these people into a court of law, which is the next thing that's going to be happening, that's what's going to be happening at some point. I'm going to find a lawyer and I'm going to find a financial backer and I'm going to start subpoenaing these people into a court of law. They think they can hide. They can't. I'm a patient man. I don't need to do things overnight, but at some point it's going to happen. And when it does happen, it's going to be a messy show. And let me tell you something. When all the lies go to court, the entire system is done. IGP, all I want is for IGP to get the hell out of the beaver ring, get out of the shelters. You know, Robert Cabral, again, with going back to the shelter video I did with Robert Cabral, that was a real burr up his ass. And that was one of the ones that he actually struck me on to try to get my channel taken down. Because I put him on notice that I know exactly what's going on. The whole scam here is to, they turned the dog into an enemy. They've turned the dog into a liability. They've turned the dog into an enemy. Now you got to fight the enemy. And they're on both sides fighting the enemy. So people like Robert Cabral and all the IGB dog trainers turned around. They created the shit show in the shelters. The shelters right now are full of behavioral cases because of all this garbage that's going on. And now you got people like Robert Cabral who's in the shelter system making money off of it. They create an enemy, fight an enemy. Countries have been doing that for hundreds of years. That's the reality. And once you understand what's going on, now you got the full understanding to understand that they're a bunch of assholes that shouldn't be working on behavior at all. Again, it's abnormal behaviors that are supposed to be training versus normal behaviors, which are actually responses to an emotional response to something in the environment. And they're trying to shut down one, and they can't do the other. I guarantee you, I'm willing to bet most trainers out there couldn't, if I took away their treats and tools, they couldn't train a dog for shit, let alone abnormal behaviors. And that's exactly what Skinner was doing. He was creating abnormal behaviors in a lab. So, for example, when he worked with pigeons, he was using positive reinforcement. His pigeons were starving to death. They're underweight. So when a dog trainer is telling you to withhold food, that's killing the positive reinforcement. That's removing positive reinforcement. Because food and water is a basic desire. So he was using his starving and underweight pigeons, and he had them on a scheduled reinforcement, a variable schedule of reinforcement. It was all computer controlled. It was the computer that was opening and closing the food dish. The bird is starving. The bird is trying to figure out, okay, you know what? The food dish just opened. What did I do to cause that? So the bird starts doing all these weird behaviors. And this is what he calls pigeon superstition. One of the big things that I hear from dog owners is, you know what? When they're having the treat training, the dog is doing stupid things that they haven't trained. This is all part of superstition. Because all of a sudden, at some point, you're going to give that dog a free reward, a free piece of food. And the dog's going to be sitting there, okay, I just got a free piece of food. What did I do to earn it? And they're going to start doing all those weird shit to try to figure out what to do to get the reward again. That's pigeon superstition. That's what Skinner was doing in the lab. He's actually generating artificial behaviors, abnormal behaviors that you wouldn't ordinarily see in the environment. And all these birds and whatnot that he was working with, you couldn't put them back out in the environment because they would never survive. That's the reality. Now stop and think about negative reinforcements. If you have a lab-raised rat, okay, that rat has never experienced negative reinforcements out in the world. This is the reason why Skinner was using negative reinforcements, because the rat would never experience natural negative reinforcement. It would never understand what a predator is. A predator to a rat is the biggest negative reinforcement there is. So a hawk, a coyote, a wolf, whatever have you, is a big negative reinforcement they would never experience. In a lab environment, it's sterile, so they wouldn't be experiencing negative reinforcement. This is the reason why he was using shock on animals. He had to generate a negative reinforcement to get the behaviors going. Okay? Now, if you took that lab-raised rat and stuck a hungry cat into the cage, guess what? The rat is going to be a meal because the rat doesn't know to avoid it. The rat doesn't know to fight or flight because it doesn't understand negative reinforcement. That's a really good point. And it's not just in the bite work. They're taking all their frustration. They're frustrating the dog to go into bite work. But the problem is they want you to frustrate your dog to do what? You're not trying to create bite work. I always ask dog owners, what do you want from your dog? Number one answer, I just want a calm dog I can take anywhere. They're not going for bite work. So they're doing the same thing to you. They're actually keeping their dog controlled and managed, and they're frustrating the dog, but they're not allowed to do anything. What outlets are they getting? And you never hear trainers talking about giving the dog exercise. When Connectican, again, he came at me in email. The few big things that he admitted, number one, he admitted point blank that he's making up his own science, and that's all they're doing. They're making up their own science as they go along. Okay? He actually admitted that in email. He's not using psychology. He's not using any kind of science whatsoever. He's making up his own bullshit as he goes along. Okay? Lim Boyke is the same thing. People like Lim Boyke, he's got a school of dog psychology, but the first video I've ever seen, first introduction to Lim Boyke, he was sitting there with a friggin' chihuahua holding up in the air doing a Lion King impression. And I asked him point blank, I said, what psychologist is telling you to do that? No response. Because the answer, just making shit up as you go along, is not going to make you money, right? But they don't want to do anything. They don't want to admit anything. So they flight. You know, I am a big old negative reinforcement to a whole lot of trainers. And let me tell you something. Negative reinforcement is generate behaviors of fight and flight. And I love watching trainers fight and flight, man. They always fight. They always fight for a while, but they always end up flighting. They always run away. And the big thing with me, again, is to try to find outlets. You know, you got an Aussie Shepherd that's showing a lot of behavioral issues. I'm not expecting you to go and get a flock of sheep for your Aussie Shepherd. But I guarantee you one thing, if you got an Aussie Shepherd or a Border Collie is well bred, if they manage to get onto a flock of sheep, they're going to know exactly what to do. Okay? They will know they're supposed to be chasing these sheep. They're supposed to be herding these sheep. The training comes in to tell them which way to go, where to put the sheep. But I'm not expecting people to go out and buy a flock of sheep for your Aussie Shepherd. Find some analogy. Remote control cars can be, like a good remote control car can be used to satisfy many breeds. Hunting breeds can chase the damn thing till there's nothing left. Tracking breeds can you can get a you can put a lure behind the car, put a bit of scent on it, hang a pelt up in the tree, and have the dog track it through tall grass, and then drive by the tree when they find that pelt. And I've had dog owners that had beagles that set that up. So the dog was tracking the car through the grass, and all of a sudden they find the pelt up in the tree, and there's only one dog that can make that noise when a beagle starts to bay, because they successfully completed a hunt, they can successfully completed the cycle. There's no other dog in this world can make that noise. And it's an amazing noise to hear. But again, they're satisfied now because they just got the hunt out of the system. But dog trainers are telling you, don't let your dog chase. Don't let your dog do any of this stuff because it's going to create prey drive. Well, the problem is, when you control and manage your dog, you don't let them get that chase out of the system, you're actually frustrating the dog. That's the reality. And you're actually creating the behavioral issues because they're telling you to control and manage your dog. You need to get your dog out and let them chase. Constantly telling dog owners, if you got a pit bull that's out and all hyped up and aggressive and everything else, get that dog out on the chase of a freaking flat out chase of a remote control car and let them chase till there's nothing left. They're going to be tired, they're going to be satisfied. Then take that aggressive pit bull for a walk. And then come back and tell me how many behavior issues you have. That's the reality. And that's exactly it. Instead of giving them chase, let them do what they're bred to do. Let them get it out of their system. They got to blow out the mental lines that, the average pit bull, if they can't blow out the freaking lines mentally, they're going to blow. And eventually they're going to blow. And that's your aggressive dog. And that's what I see all the time. Most pit bulls that I meet on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 or 1 not being calm, 10 being an all freaking idiot. Most pit bulls that I meet are a constant 6. They're like a freight train running around the house. They can't calm down. They need to get that shit out of their system. Now, if you take that pit bull running out of a 6 and try to put it on a leash and get it outside, it won't take long to hit a level 10 duration at the world. You burn that dog down to a 1. It's going to take a whole lot longer to get to level 10. They never will. Eventually, they never will. That's the reality. Yeah, but that's the key thing. Like, they're redirecting the shepherd. And again, this goes back to Conrad Most. Conrad Most trained German shepherds and only German shepherds for World War I by hook and by crook. He wasn't a nice man. There was no psychology to it. He told you to, if the dog gets snarky with you, beat the dog into submission. If the dog doesn't want to submit, get rid of the freaking dog because it's no good to you. That's the reality. But yet another applying that to the family Chihuahua. Now you can buy these tiny little prong colors. You can buy these tiny little Lee colors for Chihuahuas. What the hell are they doing? Ivan Balabanov did that. Remember that big old study that Ivan Balabanov was a part of? And what all the chase did? Well, yeah, positive reinforcement and treats versus e-colors. There was no psychology involved. There was no third option. It was just positive reinforcement. It was either treats or e-colors. There's no psychology involved. Everybody cheered on Ivan Balabanov. The positive reinforcement crowd was going crazy. The only thing that I noticed in that article is one fact that was discussed right down the very bottom. These tools should only be in the hands of professionals. So what the hell are they doing in the pet stores? Any Tom, Dick, and Harry can go to Robert Cabral's website and buy a freaking e-collar or a prong. I call this a conflict of interest, or actually hawking the freaking tools or selling the tools or getting kickbacks from selling the tools that they hawk every day. And they're all freaking out. Well, tool ban. Yeah, of course, if the tools are banned, you're fucking done. If you can't use your tools, you're nothing more than a fraud. That's the reality. And they're not going to make money. The entire system collapses. I told Haas, you know what? Haas, Robert Cabral, Larry Crone, go to Germany where all the tools are banned. Grab a fresh dog and you show us you train the dog up for IGP with no tools. You can't do it. Because you're not capable. You're not capable of training the dog for anything, let alone behavior. That's the reality. But yet I'm the asshole. And all I'm doing is pushing psychology. That's the reality. It's pushing almost 2 hours here now. I'm getting tired. And if anybody got any more comments or things they want me to rant about, go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off here quickly. But again, hypothyroidism is a big on the rise. And hypothyroidism is right now in epidemic proportions. And vets are not testing for it because they're making money off it. Dogs are suffering hypothyroidism. As a result, trainers doing damage to the dog's throat. They're damaging the thyroid. Vets are cutting the nuts off of dogs. Dog food is causing hypothyroidism. Right now is an epidemic proportion. So vets are doing all this actual harm to dogs. Eventually, behavioral issues are going to be a part of the hypothyroidism, which is going to feed the dog training industry. Then you got dog trainers out there doing physical harm to dogs' thyroids, destroying the thyroid, causing hypothyroidism that vets are not diagnosing, but yet vets are making money off it. and he got these dog owners on a cycle of freaking, food trials and medications and everything else. Vets are giving out prednisone like candy. Well, prednisone actually suppresses the thyroid further, and it's making the hypocondition worse. So if you got a dog that's undiagnosed, let me tell you something. It's a misery for people that have hypothyroidism, and it's just as bad for the dogs. I won't be streaming tomorrow, but I'm supposed to be doing a podcast with William Chandler Duff on Sunday at 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time or 12 o'clock Central. And that'll be an interesting conversation if it carries through. Something tells me it won't happen, but you know what? Stranger things have happened. And I'll be doing some more videos over the weekend. So if anybody got any video ideas, leave a comment in the live stream. Because I'm always looking for dog trainer reaction videos. I'm always looking for things to talk about. Because my main concern right now, my main goal right now is to answer all your questions, to get everything you need. Okay? I'm in this for you. I'm in this for dog owners. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm not doing this for money. I'm in a war right now with dog trainers for dog owners because I'm pissed off. I'm beyond mad. I'm beyond angry. I want a fucking reckoning for all the goddamn garbage that's going on and all the damage that they've been doing. And there's enough dog owners right now who's had their lives ripped apart. Families are ripped apart. And dog trainers could care less. Like I said, this has gone beyond narcissism now. Now we're in the path. Now we're in the realm of sociopath and psychopath. Because there is zero remorse for any of this shit that's going on. And it's going to stop. One way or the other, it's going to stop. That's the reality. Yeah, I'm going to hop off here soon, 2 o'clock. It's always nice to see you, though. I still can't believe you got Robert Cabral to define the word behavior. That was an amazing thing. But I managed to get Haas to define the word behavior. He couldn't do it either. But yet they're all behavioral experts. Anyway, it seems to be pretty quiet. So if anybody else, when you watch the live after the fact, if you got questions, comments, things you want talked about, leave a comment, and I will get to it. I'll do a reaction video to it. I will do whatever I can. Okay. And I do enjoy doing reaction videos because all I want to do is get the science behind what they're doing. I want to give the real psychology behind what they're doing. So if you got trainers who you want reacted to, there's a whole lot of trainers that I've never heard about. I love doing reaction videos, and I don't mind doing it. Okay. If you got actual videos you want me to react to, post links in the comments or email me at robert@yourdogIsNotBroken.org. And if anybody got any other questions, send me an email. Yeah, Victoria Stillwell. I'm not sure what to do with her. I tried to react to her, and I'm still trying to figure out what she's doing. The one thing about Victoria Stillwell, she got a set of balls on her. More balls than the average trainer on her. Okay, I'll give her that much respect. I don't agree with everything she does, but hey. Glock, I'll keep that in mind. Emperor Canine Dog Training. But if you got a direct video you want it reacted to, let me know. I'm going to bring that up right now, and they're all just social media influencers. That's all they are. They got people convinced that they're training dogs. That's the joke of dog training. Like I say, if you take away all the treats and tools, they're all frauds. And Robert Cabral admitted that on camera. That's the reality. If you don't have the tool, you can't train the dog and you can't do the sport, right? Well, guess what? You'll never see Zach George try to take on the challenge. Oh, yeah, train a dog without treats, because he'd be standing there blubbering and flapping his gums like an idiot, doing nothing. He's only a social media influencer that managed to convince people that he's training dogs, and he's not a dog trainer. He's just a social media influencer. That's it. All right, and the group again is, I'll post it here. And reactivity, and I will post a link. If you know anybody that has problems with their dogs, tell them to join the group on Facebook, and we'll help them out as much as we can, okay? Yeah, I'm always looking for new videos, and I'm actually going to split my channel. I think I'm going to create a reaction or a dog trainer reaction channel and try to keep my own channel cleaned up on psychology, because people are getting a lot of confusion going on, because I think I'm turning some people out because I'm doing reaction videos. And a lot of people are coming at me in the wrong sense because I am doing these reaction videos and they still don't understand what I'm trying to do. So we'll get it all figured out. I think I'm just going to split my channels and start doing, and I might actually split off another channel and start talking about feminism. Let's see if I can drive some women nuts. Because let me tell you something, the result of feminism right now is just as bad as dog training. Feminism itself has caused so much destruction and damage to society. I mean, it's immeasurable and it's unfixable. Okay? But anyhow, I'm going to sign off. I've been on flapping my gums here for the last 2 hours. I'm getting this old crusty old bastard's getting tired and my voice is getting bad. My lungs are getting bad. So I'm going to have a bid you all good night. And we'll do this again soon. Okay? And like I say, if you got questions, comments, concerns, whatever have you, drop me a comment or drop me an email or join the group and, let's have a chat in there. And if you know anybody that needs help with their dog, please send them to Facebook on the group. Okay? We'll try our best to help out. That's all we can do is try our best, but have things made with an open mind and let's see what we can do. Okay? Anyway, I'm going to sign off. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. And thanks for the questions and discussion. I'm out. Have a good night.